Hey everybody, how's it going? All Things Sports by Mike McIntyre here, and I'm here today to bring you a new video about a pair of shoes that have been out for a little while. I'm lucky to get my hands on a pair. It's thanks to a friend of mine. So right off the bat, I'm going to say thanks to my friend Nick Sisti. He plays on my team with me, and he picked these up a few weeks ago and asked me to do a review about them. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? I haven't reviewed this shoe before. And wow, you'll see what it is. So we'll get into it right away. We'll do a quick unboxing. I'll talk a little bit about the shoe, tech specs, that sort of thing, and we'll wrap it up from there. Okay, so I have with me a pair of Nike Magista Obras. Now, I have done a review on these before because I had a pair myself, but this is the TechCraft version. So this is the latest TechCraft pack, the light bone pack they called it. So I'll show you what's in the box. So you open up the box, you get a black Nike string bag. So just typical Nike string bag like you get with all top of the line products. It's a black string bag with a white Nike logo. You get a zippered pocket on the inside right there, so it's good for your phone, keys, wallet, that sort of thing. And on the other side it just says Nike football in white once again. So you get a black string bag, like I said, that's very nice, always do. Get that out of the way. And then you have, of course, the shoes. So take these out of the box. Put this down, we don't need that for now. So here they are, guys. This is the Nike Magista Obras in the light bone TechCraft variation. So we'll talk a little bit about the Magista, just what it's made out of, stuff like that. By now, I guess most people know. And then we'll talk a little bit about the TechCraft version. What's difference between this and the original, let's say. So we'll talk about the colorway first. There isn't really that much to say. I actually think it looks like it's a good looking shoe. White and black, you can't really go wrong. So you've got black Nike dynamic fit collar. You've got the black Flyknit on the back part over here. Of course, that's sealed with a Nike skin covering. We'll talk a little bit about that later. You have the K leather that's wrapped around the front part of the foot in that sort of light bone color they call it. It's not a pure white. It's kind of like an off-white, or it almost looks, depending on the lighting, it could kind of look like a very, very faint gray, kind of has that sort of characteristic to it, but it is like an off-white color, almost like a cream. Maybe that's the best way to describe it. So you've got that thin layer of K leather wrapped around the front, and then on the bottom you have your clear studs with a black sole plate. Not too much to talk about really in terms of color. So it's all black and white, and I mean, you can't really go wrong with the color. So it looks quite solid, and that's pretty much it for the colorway. So we'll talk a little bit about the sort of the tech specs of the Nike Magista Obra, and then we'll talk a little bit about the TechCraft variation as we get into the upper. So we'll start off with that right away. So by now, most people probably are familiar with this line. It's been out since the 2014 World Cup. That's when they first came out with the Magista. So it's been out a long time, and they're probably going to release a second version of these this coming summer after the Euro. So it might even be before the Euro. We'll see. It's going to probably come this summer, the next version of the Magista Obra. So this one is standard to it's standard. It's a normal Nike Magista Obra in pretty much every way. So you have a dynamic fit collar that is supposed to lock your ankle, provide this sort of seamless fit from your foot into your leg, and just provide you with a neat sort of sock-like fit. That's the idea. So it's made out of this Flyknit material, as you can see. It's very, very stretchy. It'll bend, it'll flex. It's just like a thick sock, basically. That's what it is. So you have the Nike dynamic fit collar over here. You get the shoes constructed out of Flyknit. So again, that's a knitted material. They take different sort of weaves depending on where they need to reinforce the shoe. They'll weave it together, and then this black part, okay, so this sort of area here that you see that's visible, that is wrapped with a Nike skin covering. So it's the same as the standard Magista Obra. So you have the Flyknit underneath, a thin layer of Nike skin sort of fused onto the top of that to protect it and provide some sort of durability. It also helps with sort of wet weather conditions. It'll sort of help repel water to a certain extent. So that's the Nike covering. And then on top of that, Nike give you this thin layer of K leather. So that is where the TechCraft pack comes from. It's supposed to be this modern idea where it gives you this feeling of leather on the ball, as well as having all the modern sort of construction techniques built into the shoe at the same time. So that's kind of the idea. So they've fused on this, or sorry, not really fused on, but they've stitched on this thin layer of K leather onto the top, so you can see that it doesn't get in the way of the Nike logo. So it's cut out around that. So the seam runs around here, around that Nike logo, up into this area. It's stitched down with the laces, stitched over here. Again, it's cut out with the Nike logo and then blended into the sole plate, glued down into the sole plate. So you get that thin layer on top, and it's supposed to provide this kangaroo leather feeling on the ball. Now, it probably does that to a certain extent. The way the ball interacts with the upper of the shoe, you'll probably get a different sort of sensation compared to the standard version in this area of the shoe when you're taking touches and stuff like that. But it's not going to feel like a kangaroo leather shoe. The reason being is it's not a kangaroo leather upper. They've just taken a thin layer of leather and stitched it onto the top, okay, or glued it onto the top. So it's not like this part is leather and then they've continued with the fly knit and the heel portion. It's a standard Magista Obra. They just put on this top layer. So the touch on the ball, okay, the way the ball interacts with the upper, the surface of the upper, will be slightly different in comparison to a standard Magista Obra. But the feeling from your foot to the shoe won't really change. So I hope you're following me there. The relationship between your foot and shoe is probably going to be the exact same thing, but the relationship to the ball and the upper of the shoe might be slightly different. So there's a little bit of a difference between this sort of idea and having a kangaroo leather shoe where that's interacting with both the ball and the shoe and your foot and the shoe. So I hope you follow me with that idea. So it's basically, bottom line, it's a standard Nike Magista Obra, just with this sort of unique sort of twist to the upper. So that's basically the upper. So again, fly knit, I mean, most people know what it is by now. It's that sort of modern knit material that everybody's doing. Adidas has incorporated it into their shoes as well. So that's it with the knitted upper. That's basically the upper material. The sole plate's the exact same. Okay, you have your external heel counter. Okay, stiffener bars that run through the midfoot. You've got this the same stud pattern that they've used on quite a few shoes actually. It's kind of, the legends are very similar. The hypervenoms are somewhat similar, at least in shape and idea. There's a few ideas, but let me start that again. Okay, so the Magistas are similar to the legends, like I said. They're somewhat similar to the hypervenoms in the sense that it's the same shape of studs and the same combination between the conical and these three sort of bladed studs, but there's less in the forefoot. But it's a stud pattern that we've seen from Nike more or less in almost all their lines. Okay, so you got your 4 conical studs in the heel. You have your 4 on this side, 4 on that side, all conical, and then your 3 sort of stability studs throughout the forefoot. Okay, these are bladed shapes, and then you have sort of like a toe pick stud here. So very solid stud pattern, nothing to complain about. Provides good traction, good grip on pretty much any sort of plain surface. Now these are marketed as a firm ground shoe, but they'll hold up just fine on turf, or at least they should. If anyone's sort of watched my previous Nike Magista videos, you'll know what happened to mine. I had a crack in here, and I still think that was just a sort of malfunction of the shoe itself. It wasn't due to playing on different types of surfaces. It wasn't due to firm ground. It wasn't due to artificial ground. It was the shoe itself. Okay, the type of surface you play on will sort of give the shoe a unique challenge. Okay, so what I mean by that is, depending on what kind of surface you play for or play on, the interaction between the sole plate and the ground will be different. Right, on turf it's going to be a little bit more firm. Okay, so what I mean by that is the ground doesn't give quite as easily as natural grass. Obviously, it's a synthetic material. However, the torque or the force that the ground sort of releases upon the shoe is not great enough to destroy the sole plate. So I hope you're following me in that sense. So if you followed my old video and you saw what happened to my Magista Obras, it wasn't the ground being unforgiving in the sense that it was the ground's fault that cracked the sole plate. That was simply due to the shoe. Okay, so I want to clear that up right away. So very solid stud pattern overall. External heel counter, and I mean that's pretty much it to talk about. If there was a difference between the Magistas that they first released for the World Cup, again they've changed this. I think they changed it on the second colorway, but on the first Magistas they released, I had the launch colorway. The laces were thin, like extremely thin, and I think there were a few problems of people having, like a few incidents where people reported that their laces actually ripped. Someone stepped on them, you know, they're playing in a game. Someone comes in with a stud. If they get stepped on like this, the cleats can easily get stuck into the laces. And if someone pulls away, okay, kind of like that, it could easily rip the laces because they were so thin. So on the second or third colorway, I think when we got to the that orange colorway of the Magistas, they started shipping them with thicker laces. So you have thicker laces on these ones as well. Again, that's been implemented for a while now, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's all the tech specs of the TechCraft pack. There's not much more to sort of talk about. I could show you the insole quickly. The insole is the same as any other Magista. Okay, so it's one thin layer of foam. It's got perforations throughout. It has black sort of suede overlay with Magista in white and the Nike logo. And that is basically the insole. Okay, so that hasn't changed at all. And that's everything to do with the shoe. I could talk about fit, okay, very, very quickly. Okay, so fit, they are not a narrow shoe, but they're not a wide shoe either, okay? So they're like a lot of modern shoes where they fit very, very snugly, okay? It's a tighter fitting shoe. And it wraps your foot very, very well. I like the way the shoe felt on my foot. In the forefoot and midfoot, I did like that. But it wasn't my favorite fitting shoe overall. I still don't think, I admit it, this dynamic fit collar looks really, really cool. It definitely gives the shoe a unique look, but I still don't know if it's needed. It doesn't really do anything. It does give you this unique sensation over where the laces are because it's this elasticated tongue, so it can easily form to anybody's foot here because this part's stretchy. So I like this part here, but it doesn't need the higher part. In my opinion, it definitely looks really, really cool, and I still like the way these things look. But just the amount of discomfort it caused me in the heel here, right where the sort of S and T are in Magista, it just sort of left me with a bitter taste in my mouth in a way, just because of the amount of problems I had with fit back here. So again, if you watch my old videos, I do mention that quite a bit. So who could wear these? And anyone could wear them. They're not labeled to a specific position. Obviously, Nike's going to market them towards midfielders and those creative players, but anybody can wear them. If you have a wide fitting, very, very wide foot, you'll probably get into them, but they might not be as comfortable as other shoes. And if you have a narrow foot, you're going to get into them as well. You're just going to pull the laces a little tighter. That's it. So a lot of people can fit into them. It's a very unique upper, very soft, and I do like the way the upper fit. I still remember how it sort of performed, and I did like the upper. This K-leather sort of TechCraft pack is just going to give you a little bit of a different sort of feeling on the ball, as we previously sort of mentioned. So that's it, guys. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to say for the Nike Magista Obra TechCraft pack. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will not be putting these on, obviously, because they're too big for me. They're not my size, so I won't do an on-feet portion of the video. But if you guys have any questions, definitely leave them down in the comment section. I'll get an answer out to you for sure. Again, I want to give a quick shout-out to Nick. Thanks for giving me your shoes so I can review them. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll probably get another video out based off Nick's shoes. He's got another pair coming in, so I have some ideas lined up. So stay tuned to the channel, guys, and thanks for watching. Take care.